Imagine for 1 second it's some apocalyptic future and Super Mario Sunshine just got a port for the Switch. You buy the game, you boot it up, and this is the title screen. The cutscenes play perfectly, except you might notice some minor graphical inconsistencies. Gameplay is, input-wise, 100% identical. The game we all know and love, except whenever Mario stops walking, his left leg mysteriously disappears into the ether. When asked about these issues, Nintendo responds, "We have a notice on the store page clearly informing consumers that some elements may not appear as intended." Would you accept that? I don't think you'd accept that. And I don't think Sunshine would ever release like that. Nintendo is obsessed with presentation. It's why Nintendo has been so successful for so long, and why almost every game with their name on the box is critically acclaimed. Nintendo cares about their image and their legacy. Sony does not. You see, I decided I wanted to replay Jak II, so I did what should have been the most logical course of action. I bought the most recent release of Jak II on hardware 16 years newer. What I got was not Jak II. Do you hear that crackling? That crackle is Sony's official representation of what they believe the Jak IP is worth. That crackle is an addition totally new to the PS4 release of the game. The differences don't end there either. Character animations don't animate properly, distractingly jittering seemingly at random. This happens? Just look. This is here. This is in the game. Sony knows this is in the game. This is the game running as intended, and they charge $15 for it. This is a problem, because this game is not Jak II. It's marketed as Jak II. They say, experience Jak II for PS2 trademark system with 1080p up rendering and trophies. Asterisk. This title has been converted from the original PlayStation Restricted 2 system to the PS4 trademark system. Consequently, there may be times where the title plays differently from the PlayStation Restricted 2 version, or where some features may not function properly. I don't consider that an understatement. I consider that a lie. It's not that this game functions improperly sometimes. It never runs properly. Every cutscene suffers, and there's some quirks carried over during gameplay too. You might argue the game is fully playable. Most issues are audio-visual. The way the game responds to your controller input, the sequence of going from level to level, actually does function relatively faithfully. But the thing is, gameplay is important, sure, but it was one element of the giant melting pot that is Jak II. When Naughty Dog originally made Jak II for the PlayStation 2, they cared about presentation. There was attention to detail. Character animations were fluid, it brought them to life. They pushed the limits of technology to make Daxter the smoothest rodent gaming had ever seen. The game strived to be consistent, to build a world, to build up that ever-crumbling fourth wall. But in this game, there is no fourth wall. It's a jumble of images and 3D models duct taped together to form a map you can move hitboxes around. And quite frankly, it's insulting. Jak II is a classic game. It's historically relevant. It's important to make this accessible to modern audiences. And if gamers today want to play Jak II, this is what they're going to buy. This is what kids are going to think gaming was like 15 years ago. The PS4 release of Jak II should be the definitive release, the only version to play. Instead, it's the absolute worst version, a huge downgrade. And Sony's been downgrading their classic games for years.
Stand clear, Sly! Something else is coming out of the deep freeze! I've never seen such a majestic creature. So full of life, so ready to live. So much for that. He's back in the deep freeze.
This is the Ratchet collection on PS3. Look at what happens when you go into the shop. Ratchet and Clank was designed to be played in 4:3 aspect ratio, but this collection runs in 16:9 widescreen. And rather than actually, getting the shop screen to properly display in 16:9 widescreen, they just scrunched and scratched all the variables and hoped nobody would notice. This isn't some random hard to pin down glitch. 100% of players will experience this. They knew their game was broken and didn't care. And guess what? After they did this collection, they lowered the standards. Ratchet Deadlocked for PlayStation 3. This is the messiest port I have ever seen. Just look at it. I can tell you, I've played the original PS2 release, and no, that guy's teeth are not supposed to be impaling his lips. This is not some weird random glitch. This is the PS3 version of Ratchet Deadlocked running as intended, with absolutely no variation from what Sony believes is a representation of this game worth asking money for. Ratchet's face turns inside out. I want to make one thing clear. I actually believe the original intent was to bring a faithful emulation of these games to the PS4, and for this version of the game to play better than ever. But when it came down to getting it done, after their pre-established deadline came to pass, the game still wasn't working. Maybe it's legitimately impossible to emulate Jak II on the PlayStation 4 without making it look like it's been run through a blender. I honestly doubt that, but hey, maybe. But the thing is, even if it's legitimately not possible to emulate Jak II on the PS4, you don't get to pretend it is and promise it for $15 anyway. Dear Sony, I'm going to say this as politely as possible. This is an insult. It's insulting to gamers, it's insulting to Naughty Dog, it's insulting to you. This is not Jak II. This is a scam, banking on the unfulfilled promise of Jak II. Whether or not you intended on scamming people, you are. Please, either get the game working or stop selling it. And to my viewers, I apologize for recommending the PS4 collection in my Jak video. At the time, I'd only played Jak I, which actually runs decently, even if still not entirely as desired. If you bought the PS4 collection and don't believe this is acceptable, ask for a refund. Hopefully, Sony realizes what they're doing. And sorry this video isn't as fun as usual. Next week I'll beat Kirby without eating or something. Special thanks to all Patreon backers, including Lord Arenci, Eric Flynn, Leslam, Super Scrub ZO, RB Drock, Zalino, Mr. Harry Wonka, Mrs. Seckman, Andrew Seibert, Kay Gordon, Alexander Botkin, Chris Nate, Onyu, Mason 2K, Matt Smith, JD, Robert B. Brashier, Ross Clark, Codexo, and that one guy 28. Let me know how much this video sucks and how I can improve in the comments below. There's no way I can keep thinking of new ones. Go Zymos for watching and get out of my house.